This week on Tell Us Your Geeks, we are going to be talking about Batman. Okay, so originally we were going to do a debate about Batman, but we are actually going to like downplay that a little bit. It's good, but it's not like a debate. It's more like a discussion about like the pros and cons of Batman, why we think that Batman is awesome or stupid. Anyway, so real quick shout out to our sponsors. That's the word. Basically, like, I'm really tired because I'm really tired. So I'm just gonna basically run through them real quick. Code Authors, they take care of all of your website needs and whatnot. They're our official sponsor. They did our website, so look at it. It's award winning. And then we've got.
Hang on real quick. Enter the number 2 plus Geeks to get 50% off anything that you may need from Code Authors.
What he said. And then we have Samantha Spooky, who is a cosplayer. She's awesome. Check her out. Angela Lindblom, who is a Angelina. Ooh, she's gonna beat my ass.
Fired.
She's gonna beat my ass. Angelina Lindblom, who is a baker and crafty bitch extraordinaire. Definitely Impressed, which is the company that does our merch. That you can get our face and our name on anything that you want, or you can, I don't know why you'd want to, but you can also get your face and name on anything that you want. And Rick's Comic City, they're always working with us to do amazing things in the Clarksville area, and Nashville area, as far as like events and stuff.
Visit your local comic book store.
Yes, they need your love. Go there. Don't just go to like Amazon. Like, go to your local comic book store.
The environment's far better than Amazon.
Hang out. Be like you're on fucking a Big Bang Theory. Like, it's awesome.
But anyways, all right, let's get into this.
Okay, so I think that Batman sucks. He thinks that Batman does not suck. There are various reasons, and it kind of depends on.
I have a spot right here for Batman.
It depends a little bit on like where you get your Batman knowledge or what you're basing it on. There's been a lot of different iterations. That's the word. I'm drunk.
Iterations.
There you go. I'm drunk. Of Batman, and basically, so I've read a lot of Batman comics. I watched the animated series growing up. I'm rewatching it now. I watched a lot of Batman just growing up. I've watched all of the movies that have ever come out, etc., etc. I've even seen like some of the old Adam West stuff. To me, the problem that I see with Batman is that he doesn't do a lot of his own stuff. I think that he could do a better job with his money. I think that if you took away his money, that he's basically just a guy in a suit. I think that he's crazy because he's running around in a bat suit. I think that if he really cared about law and order as much as he says he wouldn't break the law by literally being a vigilante. No one gave him the authority to do any of the stuff that he's doing, but he does it anyway.
Can we slow down a little bit?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so to touch on the last one that you did, actually Gotham did make him an honorary member of Gotham PD.
Nobody cares.
It's in the comic books, but
nobody cares.
If you take away his money, he still has the ability to fight crime. He's still a master at all the martial arts that he's practiced. He's fluent in multiple languages. He still has all of his degrees. He's still a genius.
Okay.
If you take away his money, he's still a badass fucking person.
Okay, but question.
All right.
Could he have those degrees? Could he have studied all of those languages had he not been a millionaire, now a billionaire? Mm-hmm. Would he really be able to fight crime without the Batcave, without his secret identity, without the Batmobile and the chopper and the plane and the bike?
Yes. And I'll give you a perfect example of somebody who does that already without all that. Daredevil.
Okay. But, okay, so Daredevil's not rich, like he's not loaded, but he does have a secret identity, and he does have a job that meets his bills. I'm saying, like, Batman couldn't be, like, your average Joe on the street. Also, Daredevil does have kind of a superpower.
Okay, but all right. So what I'm going to say though is, if Batman lost all of his billions, he could still get a job at fucking Kinko's and still be Batman.
Name a non-rich hero.
Besides Daredevil.
Well, but he's a lawyer, so he does make
All right,
a
so
good chunk of change.
Are we talking about like a non-powered?
Yes, like that's where I was going with that. Like, name a superhero that does not have powers and does not have money.
Okay, so you can't.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, so you're not.
So take away his money, and he's Joe Blow. You could be Batman. Go to the gym. Because I'm married to you. Hit the gym a few times, baby. You might be able to. You're not Batman. You're not even Bat Dad.
But
which is so cool. I love Bat Dad.
Dude, do squats, get swole. But it doesn't matter. So if you take away Bruce Wayne's money, if you take away Batman's money, he still knows all of this stuff, though.
But
still.
How could he have learned it without all that money?
Okay, so you're going back to before then. All right, so you're saying that if he wasn't born into money, correct?
Yes, I'm saying that his money is what.
You can look at me. You don't have to look at the camera, baby.
I want to look at the camera. I don't want to look at you.
All right, so
I don't want to look at you anymore.
All right.
No, I'm saying that if he. Yes.
Let me touch on that. So if you have an individual who was not born into money, who was not born into a power, then obviously they're not going to be a fucking hero, because that's just a shitty fucking story.
Why?
Okay, so name me a fucking individual that doesn't have power, that doesn't have money, that's a fucking hero.
That's my point. Like, because you can't write that story.
Because it's a fucking shitty story.
No, not because it's a shitty story. I actually think that would make an amazing story.
And
the problem is that you can't write that story, because if you don't have superpowers, then you need money to buy the gadgets.
Okay, so we're gonna back up right there.
That's also true of Tony Stark, by the way. Except Tony Stark made his millions.
No, he didn't. He rode the coattails of his daddy. Stark Industries was. Stark Industries was built by Tony Stark's father. Bruce Wayne is riding the coattails of his father and his mother's foundation, the Thomas Foundation, the Martha Foundation, and the Wayne Foundation.
As well as their actual corporation.
However, he's taken the Wayne Foundation and improved it. He is a genius.
I'm going to debate that, but okay.
It's in the comic books. It's canon.
But he acts retarded sometimes. Sorry for people who are about that word. My bad. But he acts stupid sometimes.
Okay, so Luke Cage is supposed to be this fucking super strong person, but yet he has a fucking steel girder fall on him, and he can't fucking move it, and it weighs like 600 pounds.
Okay.
But yet, in 2 panels later, he can throw a fucking car.
That's poor writing.
It's all based on how you want the story to progress.
That's poor writing.
Because there's been instances where you're like, Superman should easily be able to get out of this, but he doesn't. But then, if you look back, he's towed 10 fucking planets. So it's all in how the story progresses. But canon states...
Writing. That's poor writing.
Okay, so it's comic books. It's sometimes poor writing comes in, and they're a victim.
Because you gotta change shit and stuff. Yeah.
Every hero, every comic book character has been a victim of poor writing. There's no doubt about it. Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I actually think that the worst in that series, and I'm getting slightly off topic, but I think that the worst in the series of like poor writing has kind of ruined it is Superman.
And
it's because he's been around so long, and that's also a problem with Batman.
They've also had to. They've given Batman or Superman so many fucking different powers that they've had to take some away, like his super ventriloquism.
And I actually think that's the problem.
This is not about Superman.
I also think that's the problem with Batman, though. Is the same problem that we have with Superman. So I'm not saying that Batman has always sucked, but I am saying that Batman sucks. And I think that one of the problems with Batman is the same problem that we have with Superman. He's been around for so long. There are so many different stories, so many different backstories, which don't make any sense when connected. Like, so many different iterations of Superman, so many different iterations of Batman, that you can pick and choose the Batman that you like, or you can pick and choose the Batman that you hate. And
Right.
I could have loved an older version of Batman. I was born in the fucking 80s. I was raised in the 80s and the 90s. I hate fucking Batman.
Alright, so I'm going to touch on that real quick. So there are several different iterations, and there's been several different points in the Batman lineage and line and in the story where Bruce Wayne has stepped back from being Batman. Where he has...
Talking about like Batman Beyond.
Not just Batman Beyond.
Well, I'm saying like Batman Beyond. Is that
but like Batman Beyond, like when Bane breaks Bruce Wayne's back, where he breaks Batman.
Yes.
And Batman has to stop being Batman. So he gets Azrael to be Batman.
Azrael?
Azrael is Batman. And
you just said it funny.
I know. But
I was like, who?
But he takes it to a level that Bruce Wayne never wanted it to be. He starts being more vicious. He starts being more malignant. He starts being more just full of hate to the point where he's killing people. And Bruce Wayne's like, that's not Batman. Batman does not kill because he's a humanitarian. Batman is about rehabilitation. I know you're going to argue that, but let me finish real quick. There's always been stories where Bruce Wayne has stepped down. Tim Drake has been Batman. Was it Tim Drake? It might have been Dick Grayson. One of the Robins has become Batman because Bruce Wayne's like, I can't do this anymore. But then the fans, we've had this episode before with fans suck. Dick Grayson's the first Robin.
No, I know. I'm saying I'm thinking. I'm like, was it Dick Grayson?
Then Jason Todd, who was killed. Really, well, we thought was killed.
I think it was Dick Grayson is the one that became Batman for a while. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, he becomes Nightwing.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Right. Okay, never mind. Batman. He becomes Nightwing.
Who was Batman there's been stories about Batman where Bruce Wayne has stopped being Batman, even after he's recovered, because when he sees Azrael, I'm gonna say
Azrael.
You country bumpkin.
Azrael. It's a demon name. It's Azrael.
It's Azrael.
He
sees where he's going with that, and before he's even fully healed, he develops a way to defeat him so he can become Batman again. So he can pick up that mantle of justice. And he does. And then later he's like, I still can't do this, but you cannot be Batman. You do not represent Batman.
Okay.
And so he passes off the mantle, but then the fans step in which we've had this episode before, which fans suck, and they bitch and piss and moan.
This is true.
And so people have to come in and they rewrite Batman.
We are fans. We suck. We know this.
And we're proving this right now with this fucking Batman debate.
Exactly. No one's ever satisfied.
I mean, there's Batman Year 1, there's Batman Earth 2, there's there's the whole New 52 that fucking DC released. Marvel's got their fucking new versions where they're following the movies now. I mean, it's fucking retarded because, sorry, but...
Don't use that word.
It's because the fans are used to Bruce Wayne being Batman. They're used to Tony Stark being Iron Man. We're used to certain iconic characters. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. I mean, now you'll have certain instances where Miles Morales comes in and we're like, holy shit, we like this Spider-Man. Let's keep him. But other fans are like, no, it's not Peter Parker.
We're never
satisfied. And there's certain, issues.
People are pissed off about, like, Into the Spider-Verse, which is a fucking comic. Like, or it's an animated.
Oh, no, I want to fucking see it.
I do too, but people are fucking pissed about it because they're like, well, there can't be more than one Spider-Man. And I'm like...
Have you not fucking read Spider-Man 2099?
Exactly.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Educate yourself. But back to Batman.
Yes.
There's so many different iterations of Batman that we start off... If we start off with the Golden Age, his history is different than what we know now. Because we're familiar with this Frank Miller Batman, this Dark Knight, this Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan, Tim Burton kind of Batman, where in the movies we don't see Bruce Wayne's intelligence. where, you know, in the Christopher Nolan trilogy with Christian Bale, you know, when Lucius Fox is sitting there trying to explain something to him, and, you know, Bruce Wayne's just like, I'm supposed to know what you're meaning. Anybody who knows Batman's like, yes, you fucking know, because you have a degree in computer fucking engineering.
But see, that's the thing. So, okay, so there may be versions of Batman out there that I haven't read where he is a fucking genius. But what I'm saying is that there are also a lot of versions of Batman where they say he's a genius, but he's not a genius. Like,
Okay.
because there are so many fucking versions where he's like, okay, so he has a degree in psychology, but yet he doesn't realize that A, he's insane. Like he's literally been institutionalized insane. Like psychiatrists were convinced he was insane because he is. He doesn't understand like the definite like the so-called definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, but that's exactly what he does. He does the same thing over and over again and expects different results. And there are ways to change the system. He could change the system from within. He's got a lot of money. He could use that money that way, but he doesn't. He built his company helped to build the buildings that house the same people that he locks up. And yet, like, they keep getting out. So he is partially responsible for them getting out because he owns those buildings. And there are a lot of versions, such as Batman the Animated Series. Like, in Batman the Animated Series, they say that he's fucking, like, the best detective and super fucking intelligent. And yet he has to constantly go to other people to design things and make things and get information. Like, because he can't do it on his own. And he would not be able to do that were he not to be Bruce Wayne, were he not to be a millionaire. He wouldn't be able to use his power. Batman uses his power as Bruce Wayne entirely too much. Like, Daredevil doesn't use his power as Matt Murdock as much. Like, Tony Stark doesn't even use, or Iron Man doesn't even use his... So Iron Man does a little bit, but that's because he doesn't really have a secret identity. But he doesn't... But Iron Man, as Iron Man, is fighting as Iron Man, and when he's not in the suit, he's fighting as Tony Stark. Whereas Batman, even in the suit, is using his connections as Bruce Wayne to make things happen because he can't make them happen on his own, or he can't connect the pieces on his own, which makes me say he is not a great detective. So, like, just like where they say that he knows a lot about psychology, and yet he can't read people for shit. Like, he doesn't understand the damage that he's doing to Gotham when he locks up these crazy people. He doesn't understand, like, the motivation of the Joker. Even after the Killing Joke, he doesn't really fucking get it. And, like, the Killing Joke is the one thing that should totally explain to Batman why Joker is the way Joker is. Why Joker does the things Joker does. One bad day, man. One bad day.
Okay.
He lost his fucking mind.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the Killing Joke right now. Alright, so in the Killing Joke, there's so much
Amazing comic.
I needed to fucking unpack with everything that you just said.
Amazing comic, though.
We're going to start with the Killing Joke. So, in the Killing Joke, Batman actually is going to kill the Joker. To end it all. To fucking be done. But James Gordon, the victim in this, the father of the daughter who just got shot and paralyzed, stops Batman and tells him, no, you can't do this. Batman wants to kill him, wants to end it. Jim Gordon, the commissioner of fucking Gotham, goes, you can't, because you will lose all the integrity that you've built.
But see, that's the thing. Does he have integrity?
Yes, he does.
I don't think so.
Because he has built, through the Wayne Foundation, through the Wayne Corporation, countless fucking corporation branches and subsidies that he uses to stay in touch with the community at large. He builds these social services, these welfares that keep him. Bruce Wayne has actually been in soup kitchens.
Okay, I agree with you. My point is that makes Bruce Wayne a good person that does not make, which is still, I think, debatable, but we'll talk about that later. I don't think that makes Batman a good hero.
Okay, so, alright, let's talk about that. Now, in the animated series, there's an episode where there's a hypnosis or a mind control. I can't remember what the fuck it was. But they capture Bruce Wayne because they realize he's the original Batman. So they're trying to get inside of his head and hypnotize him and get him to do what they want him to do. And they keep calling him Bruce. They're like, Bruce, we want you to do this. And he fights. Now, Batman has been trained by members of the JLA and other people to fight off mind control and hypnosis and shit like this. But one of the major things that he does is, in this episode, he's like, you know, Bruce, we want you to do this. Bruce, we want you to do that. And he fights it off. And toward the end of the episode, Terry, I can't remember his last name, but it's the kid who's taken on the mantle of Batman because Bruce Wayne is an old man. He ages. He goes, how did you do this? And he's like, he kept calling me Bruce. It's not who I am. And it's like, when you fucking watch that episode and you get done with it, like, you have chills and be like, because Bruce Wayne is the mask. Batman is the man. Now, I know that sounds crazy.
It is
but
crazy.
He knows this.
That man has,
the first person to
issues.
Establish this is actually a villain, Dr. Hugo Strange, who creates these Frankenstein-esque creatures to do his bidding. And he's not even really a byproduct of Batman. He's just a psychopath that just wants to fucking use his superior intellect and psychology to try to gain control over Gotham because it is so fucking corrupt. Because Gotham is the majority corrupt.
Okay. So, I totally agree that Gotham is corrupt. I think that...
It's beyond corrupt, though.
That's true. I mean, it's modeled on, like, Chicago, so I can totally buy that, especially with the, like...
Oh, easy now.
Well, with the noir aspect that they take to Batman in a lot of Batman comics, Batman movies...
I'm not saying that it's not based on fucking Chicago, because it totally is, but
yeah, but I'm just saying...
shots fired at Chicago.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, Chicago is known... And I'm not even saying now, because it's really not that dangerous anymore. It's, like, number 24. But I'm saying that Chicago is known as, like, a mobster city. Like, especially during, like, Prohibition. There was a lot of, like... organized crime there. It's very much known for that. So, like, obviously it's based on Chicago. Obviously, Chicago has had its very corrupt periods with law enforcement.
Okay, so.
So I don't even remember anymore. So no, like, okay, so he, like, that is, but he could have just joined. And I know that there's reasons that, like, he didn't. That you say whatever. Who fucking cares? He could have just become a law officer. He didn't have to become a vigilante. No one is... He is literally a criminal.
Okay. All right. So, okay. I will not disagree with that. But let's name a hero that's not.
A criminal?
Yes.
The Flash.
Really? Because he's a vigilante. He's just one with powers.
But he's also one that, like, I don't know, the Flash is just a good guy. Anyway.
But he's still fighting crime outside of the law.
Okay. No. Okay, so yes. Batman isn't always a criminal. There are times when Batman is not a criminal, like when he's a member of, isn't he a member of the Justice Society?
Justice League and the JLA and the JSA, he is actually founding members, even though later...
Yes, in those ways he's not, and so other people, like when he's acting as the JSA, he's not, or the JLA, he's not a criminal. So,
when he's thwarting alien invasions and shit like that.
So, any hero that you've basically only seen actually being a vigilante or vigilante-like in, like, a organized group. So, okay, Tony Stark. Tony Stark only actually goes and fights crime as a member of the Avengers. And the member...
That's not true.
When did he ever fight
crime? Alright,
crime?
so in the first Iron Man movie that we see, he goes back to the people that had him captive and he kills them all. He flat out cold blood murders these people.
Okay, so to me, that is justifiable homicide.
Oh my God! Come on, really?
He does not know. I'm not saying that. Like, what I'm saying
justifiable
is
homicide. That's illegal.
I'm saying no. Justifiable homicide actually isn't. If it's justifiable, you get off.
He hunted them down.
If it's justifiable, you get off. I'm making
in another country.
I don't know international law. But no, my point wasn't necessarily that Tony Stark isn't a criminal. My point was that Tony Stark has never been a vigilante. Because when he fights crime, he does so as a member of the Avengers.
Okay, so I don't know enough about Iron Man to thwart this. I'm going to call bullshit.
Joe, Batman's a vigilante.
I'm not saying that Batman is not a vigilante, but I'm also saying that I think Iron Man is a vigilante as well.
Because no, you have to take Buddy's. You have to take Buddy's experience on the MCU.
And we'll get Buddy in here and we'll talk about it because...
Well, that's not just the MCU, just like Marvel in general.
But we'll break it down because, I mean...
Buddy's told you.
Even Captain America has been a vigilante.
Captain America has... I don't know if he's been a vigilante so much, but he has broken the law.
Yes.
Captain America broke the law when he went against the Sokovia Accords, so that's recent.
And then, but, you know, Iron Man straight up, after being, instead of going to the proper channels and getting these terrorists that had him captive and were trying to replicate the weapons of mass destruction that he made his money on, because Tony Stark made his millions and / billions on building, you know, WMDs.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
I know. He hunted, instead of, you know, like, hey, this is where they had me captive. These are the people. Hunt them down and bring them to justice. He's like, oh, no, I'm going to just build a suit, fly over there, and just murder them. Even though some of them were probably not there in the cave during the time of his captivity. But showed up later because, you know, they had to, because in his release, he probably did kill a few, or is that guy that helped build that thing for his chest, killed a few with the giant explosion. So they had new recruits. They had never seen him before. So he could have actually inadvertently killed innocent people who had never seen him before. And all of a sudden this metal man falls from the sky.
They're not going to be fucking innocent people in the cave like a terrorist.
Okay, no. Child terrorists that are pulled from their homes and told that they're now going to be part of the Taliban or Al-Qaeda or their families.
You didn't really see children in this
is a fucking Disney flick, basically. So fucking of course not. But let's be realistic.
Well, it's not. We can't be realistic. It's fucking comic.
Okay, but in any case, I mean, they could snatch fucking, you know, grown-ass men from their house and be like, you're now going to be my soldier, or your fucking, you know, family's going to die. And like, okay. Yeah, I know. But, so, Batman, or not Batman, but Iron Man could inadvertently have killed innocent people. We don't know this. It's a possibility.
We do know that. It's not possible.
Batman does not kill people. Now...
Except for, okay, no.
Hang on, I'm about to address this. There has been a couple instances in the movies...
That's not where I was going.
...that Batman has killed people.
That is not where I was going.
What?
Actually, okay, so, Batman doesn't kill people. But if you've ever watched Batman the Animated Series, you know that Batman tries to kill people, it's just that they don't let them die. Like, he throws people off of fucking buildings. He throws, like, there's people that fall out of fucking airplanes, and they always, like, bounce off of some kind of, like, awning or something, and somehow live. Like, crazy fucking shit happens, and that, like, that's one of the things that I've really fucking noticed rewatching it that I didn't pick up on when I was a kid, is Batman tries his damnedest to fucking kill people in Batman the Animated Series.
I think that's a huge stretch, but...
It's not a stretch, really.
What?
Batman threw somebody off of a building. That person would have died.
In the Tim Burton Batman in 1988-89 with Michael Keaton, I'm looking forward to the Batman Beyond live action where Michael Keaton revisits his role as Batman, the retiree.
That would be amazing. We're totally
full
trying
circle.
Like,
I want this.
we don't
I
know
want
the
this to
we
fucking
don't know the
happen.
people at Marvel, but like if we can
Marvel.
pitch
Whoa.
Whoa! I'm so used to talking about Marvel because I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'm more Marvel than DC. We don't know the people at DC.
Even though
We
you
totally
have
would
fucking
like
DC
to.
tattooed on.
That's because it's Harley Quinn and she's my alter ego.
But anyways, yes, if the people at fucking DC and Sony and whoever, Time Warner,
Yeah,
Warner
if
Brothers,
you guys would like to make that movie, we would totally watch it.
yeah, I'm sure Michael Keaton be like, you know what? All I gotta sit and do is sit in a chair and behind a computer that I, Batman, Bruce Wayne, built and developed because I'm a genius. Yes, it's canon, but now they've done it in the Marvel Universe, and they'll do it again because we've had so many different iterations of characters. But Batman, for the most part, has actually, well, other than Superman, Batman is probably in the top three, if not, well, top five, if not the top three characters that have been there as their originals the longest. Superman, they don't ever replace Superman. They bring in like his cousin or something like that. But Superman has always been there. Wonder Woman has always been there, and she will always continue to be there.
Yeah, like
there's been different,
Princess
Iron Man,
Diana, also known as Diana Prince, will always be Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne will always be Batman.
Well,
Clark Kent will always be Superman.
No.
Well, even if they change him and age him out, the original, you're never gonna have.
You will have other people.
Bruce Wayne will always be Batman.
I mean, Damian Wayne has been Batman.
But Bruce Wayne will always be Batman.
Other people have taken up the fucking cowl and been fucking Batman.
But Bruce Wayne will always be Batman.
And then there's Terry, who's in Batman Beyond.
But Bruce Wayne will always be Batman.
But Bruce Wayne will always be Batman. And then you have, these different iterations of Iron Man, which you have the Tony Stark, and then you have Ironheart, and then you have Victor Von Doom taking on the mantle, and then you have, in Thor, you have the original Thor, and then he dies, and then Joan becomes Thor, and so there's always different stories about Batman, and always different stories about different comic book characters. So if you really want to get involved with a character, which I strongly suggest you do. Now, if you just dislike them, that's fine. You can dislike anybody you want to. I'm not saying don't dislike them. And if you don't want to really look into them, that's fine. I personally, when we started talking about this, I was like, I got to dig into Batman. Because Batman has been... I'm gonna be a little soft and spongy here for a second, but the first movie my dad ever took me to go see was Batman with Michael Keaton back in 1989. I fucking fell in love. I was like 5 years old, or 6 years. Well, I was almost 6, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is the best thing I've ever seen." I didn't blink for fucking 2 hours. And then I was like, I'm hooked on Batman. That's it. I mean, I grew up on the Saturday morning cartoons of G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats, and shit like this, but this was a live-action fucking superhero in my mind. So Batman will always have a spot right here, right where the Penguin's head is at right now. I mean, come on, Batcountry. So I will always defend Batman. She will always go against Batman, and that's fine. And that's one of the dynamics of our...
That's the great thing.
That's our dynamic duo right here.
I kind of think of it more as like, the Gary and Ace dynamic duo.
Wait, are you going to ride on my back and pump me so we can fly?
I mean, sure.
The ambiguously gay duo.
Yes, I was hoping that, you weren't supposed to say it. I wanted someone out there to,
make that
connection.
I'm pretty sure that somebody did before I said it, but they'd be like, "Who the fuck is Ace and Gary?" I've never heard
ambiguously gay
duo.
If you don't know what the fuck that is, look up old episodes of fucking Saturday Night Live.
TV Funland.
Yes.
With Triumph, the insult dog.
Yes.
But Batman will always, and Batman is such an iconic character that if you ask somebody to name, 3 comic book characters out there, I'm guarantee you 95 to 99% of the time, Batman will always make the list.
I think that also depends heavily on the demographic, because I think that with all of the new stuff coming out, especially with like the MCU and even with DC, I think that Batman is falling behind because he's not really. I don't think he's keeping up with the times enough. I don't think he's doing enough. I also think that the MCU is basically just beating DC's ass.
Well, that's the movie industry's fault. But if you look into the comic book aspect of it,
well, that's what I'm saying. Though
strong.
Okay, so I think that what draws in people these days, especially with like new fans, right, is like I think that they're going to be introduced to it by a cartoon or a movie or a TV show, and I think that it's really hard to get like super excited about Batman. We grew up with Batman. You and I grew up with Batman, and not just like the Batman movies, but like there wasn't a lot of non-cartoon, really fucking old superhero stuff out there. There wasn't a lot of comic stuff out there.
Well,
and like Batman is a huge part of Americana, not just the geek culture.
Well,
so I think that made him popular outside of just being a comic book character.
Well, there was the X-Men animated series.
Well, yes.
And then there was the Spider-Man.
I'm saying non-animated, like actual live action. Like yeah. So like you didn't have a lot of that
besides Superman.
So you had like things for kids, and then you had like things for geeks. But then like Batman was mass produced, and he was such a huge part of Americana, and in the same way that Superman was, that I don't think people saw him as just a comic book hero. So I think that like X-Men is what really blew that up, and it like exposed people to like non-geeks to the huge world of like the comic book comic book world.
I think we touched that on
the MCU and like the DC universe. Yeah. So, but I don't think that kids today would probably name Batman. I think that our generation would name Batman because we grew up with Batman in a way that this generation isn't.
I kind of want to do a poll now and like go out and record and like.
You want to go out and find random kids and ask them if they like.
Yeah, I want to be like, fucking name 3, comic book characters and see what they say and, tally it all up and see, how fucking Batman flops out on
We would have to do that with like strangers, and that would be so fucking creepy because like
I
our friends teach their kids about like the history of comics.
I would walk into the mall and be like, excuse me, I was just wondering for research purposes if I can, ask you and your child about, comic book characters and be like, and if you don't want us to, that's fine. But if you don't mind, I'd like to ask your child name 3 comic book characters just to see what they say. And then have them be like,
that sounds like super fucking creepy. That is a way. That is how we get arrested. That is how. No. Listen to this.
I don't think so. But
this is the story of how I get that phone call that says, "Baby, I'm in jail. I need bail money."
No.
I knew this day was coming. I knew it was coming.
Okay. You want to put your money where your mouth is?
You're gonna get arrested.
So tomorrow when I leave, I'm gonna go to the mall and start asking about fucking.
No, no.
Yeah.
I can't leave work to come bail you out of jail, and then we have friends dinners, and then we have like.
Because guess what? I'm not gonna get arrested.
Party. You're gonna get arrested. You can't go asking people's kids questions.
I'm going to ask the adults first if I can ask the kids questions.
Have you looked at yourself in a mirror?
What are you trying to say? Say it. No, go ahead. In front of our audience. Say it right now.
No, I love my husband. I think he's very attractive.
Yeah, so, alright then. Fucking weirdo. Alright, so now let's get back on Batman real quick. There's a lot of different stories and a lot of... Nothing really changes in the comic book verse about Batman.
Yes, it does. There's different... Yes. hold on. Well,
Let me finish real quick.
Okay.
Now, there are certain things that is not portrayed due to story progression. Now, the movie versions of Batman, even though I always hold a soft spot for Michael Keaton and the first two Batman, do not do Bruce Wayne or Batman justice because they don't portray his intelligence or the fact that all of his tech. You got to turn it up. The lighting. What are you doing?
You can't see it.
This is the sticker that she's trying to show.
I put it on the phone thingy. It's the perfect fit.
But
I'm drunk.
anyways.
I'm sorry. Continue. I'm
the movies like the Michael Keaton, the Christian Bale, even the new ones, even though the Ben Affleck ones actually kind of give us more intelligence than, but the story is just not good enough. They don't give Bruce Wayne or Batman that intelligence in all the degrees that he has that he deserves, which is shitty. I think he deserves better. I think Bruce Wayne, who has been described as multiple people in the DC verse as the peak of humanity as far as intelligence and physical prowess goes, he doesn't get enough because unlike certain other billionaires, he's constantly improving himself. If he comes across something that he's like, I don't know how to do this, he's not like, I will build a piece of tech to make it better. I don't know how to speak 7 different languages. I'm going to learn how to speak these 7 different languages. Not by just implanting something into my brain that translates. No, I'm going to.
If he wasn't rich.
Sure he can. If he's got the intelligence, he can learn this shit.
Not really, because he wouldn't be able to afford learning.
That's not true because Elon Musk came from shit and now he's a fucking billionaire.
Well, there's a difference between going to school, getting a degree, making millions, and then going back to learn stuff. And
Bruce Wayne, with his intelligence, even if he was a fucking kid from the slums, he could have gone to scholarships.
I'm still saying he would have to be rich.
I don't think so.
In order to go back and get the additional education, yes, he would.
Well, he would have made that money if he would have grown up fucking poor. If he'd have been born poor, but with his intelligence, he could have went through that genius level into college at the age of 14 like he did, made his millions on his own, and billions later, and then gone back.
But I'm saying he still has to be rich.
Okay, so he could have done it regardless.
But his money is a superpower.
His money is not his superpower. His intelligence
is a superpower.
His intelligence, his will, his physical prowess. And Buddy made a point about Batman that kind of pissed me off, and I'm going to address right now. Buddy said that he doesn't like this whole fanboy attitude of, well, with enough prep time, Batman can defeat anybody. I mean, yeah, it's true. But the thing is it doesn't fucking matter. Batman's going to get his ass beat. He's going to crawl back and be like, I can defeat you. And then that whole conversation he said, well, if this was the real life, the JLA would just be like, sit back and fucking do your thing, human. They do the same thing to fucking Tony Stark and the goddamn Avengers.
Okay, not really. Tony Stark has different, better tech. But anyway, so you said something earlier that I want to go back. You said that there's only, one iteration of Batman in comics. That's not true.
I didn't say that.
You actually did say that.
No, I said there's multiple iterations of Batman in comics, but
you said there's only really one in comics.
But there's always the genius level.
You said there's one iteration of
as
Batman
far as genius level.
All right. But that's not an iteration. You said there's one iteration. There's multiple iterations. Okay.
There's different iterations of Batman, but he's always a genius. And
depending on your definition of genius. It always says he's a genius.
Always developing his own tech.
No. He is not always developing his own tech in comics. He is not always developing his own tech in comics. Wayne Industries always develops his tech.
And they get the
but
design
Wayne Industries
and the innovation from him.
But not always. No. That is not true. That is false. So it always has Wayne Industries developing his tech. It is not always him that develops that tech or gives the design. sometimes it's like his idea because it's something that he needs as Batman, but it's still something that like he couldn't have if he wasn't a fucking like rich bitch.
Okay, so that's the same thing as far as like Tony Stark.
No, Tony Stark develops his own tech.
And
Tony
he couldn't
Stark,
do that without money.
but Tony Stark is a scientist, right? He could get hired as a scientist.
So is Batman, but
No. Batman is a businessman. He is not always portrayed as a scientist. Tony Stark is always portrayed as a scientist. He's always portrayed as an engineer. Batman is not always portrayed that way. Batman is always portrayed as a businessman. He owns Wayne Industries, and Wayne Industries develops his tech. Whereas Tony Stark owns Stark Industries, but also is like the lead engineer for Stark Industries.
okay.
Batman is not the lead engineer for Wayne Corp.
And so that's just in the latest iterations of Batman, though. In the early iterations through the Golden and the Silver and the Bronze Age, not, getting into the 90s to 2000s, 2010s, but all those mecha years of fucking comic books, Bruce Wayne has always been a genius. He's always developed and built his own tech.
Okay, so I
can't help that for some reason, and it pisses me off, that current writers or directors or whoever wanted to portray Batman dumber than what he is.
Okay, I would need. Okay, first of all, even Golden Age, even Silver Age, Batman said that he knew things that if you actually read the comics, he didn't know. Earlier in this conversation, you chalked that up to bad writing, which I think applies across the spectrum to all comic books, but isn't nearly as bad in everything else as it is in Batman. And literally, comic books are fiction, so you can chalk everything that's wrong with them up to just bad writing. He is his writing. He is the things that are written for him. So I think that he is very poorly written, but I also think that of Superman.
I mean, there's shit issues of fucking everything.
Yeah, going back to, but it's not just shit issues to me. It's like shit fucking subscriptions. It's like a lot of fucking like issues in order.
Well, the fucker's been out since like the 1940s.
And I understand that, and I think that.
I mean, there's so many things that Batman can do.
And I understand that, and I think that's also a problem with Superman. I think they have that shared problem that they've been around for so long. I think they were written in a time that was a lot different than it is now. But even going back to Golden and Silver Age fucking Batman, and neither one of us has this information right in front of us, so you could be right, I could be right. However, I would bet money that there are issues of Golden and Silver Age where he hands a job over to Wayne Corp to do it. I think that there are issues of Golden and Silver Age where it's like where they say that he designed it, but what their meaning is, and when based on like the actual wording and the actual like images, it's not he designed, it's Wayne Corp designed, because he is Wayne Corp. But to me, there's a difference because he's not physically the engineer. Because like I know for a fact there are Golden and Silver Age where it's like, well, he knows psychology, but he doesn't. And that's granted, that is because of the writers. Like the writers who wrote Batman way back then and the writers that are writing Batman now are not fucking, psych majors. They don't have degrees in psychology or masters so of course they're gonna fuck shit up. But I think that really it chalks it down to the writers. I think the writers of Batman fucking suck. I think they've made a shitty fucking character because they've made him extremely inconsistent. And they've made him like, they say he has all these qualities, but when you actually read the books or you watch the movies or you watch the cartoons and the animated series, you don't actually see him always portraying those qualities. I think he is one of the most poorly written comic book characters in the history of comic book characters, being beat only by Superman. Superman was written much more poorly.
So I disagree because some of the best stories in comic book history come from the Batman comics. I mean, the fucker went back in time. He's met Sherlock Holmes. I mean,
I think those are good stories, but I still think that it's shitty writing because it's inconsistent.
Well, and the problem is there's so many different writers. Bob Kane being the original, the creator of Batman, and now we have Scott Snyder. Amongst other writers, there's so many different writers who are doing so many different series of Batman. So you have, hang on, please. You have all these writers coming in from their perspective and their knowledge of Batman and how they want certain stories to progress. So Scott Snyder, who did one of my favorite series, which I have yet to finish because I'm looking for all the issues, and I want to finish it. It's The Dark Knight's Metal, where, we have the Batman who laughs, and, he finally breaks down and he, spoiler alert, he kills the Joker, and he becomes the Joker, and it's the Joker's greatest fucking plan. It's fucking amazing. But in this, he also, takes out Superman, but not by killing him, but by... What are you doing here?
Continue.
Oh. But, he takes out Superman and, Superman and Lois Lane's kid by, getting the kryptonite that fucking makes Superman's eyes bleed and fucking causes him to go insane and kill Lois and all this other shit. And he gets, Kara to do the same. And, and it's that where because Batman is also a strategical genius. He is constantly thinking ahead, and he's constantly moving forward and planning and things like that. And in the comic books,
bad at it then.
Well, it depends on which series you're reading, because in the Dark Knight's Metal, which I think you should give a chance, you'll see just how much of a...
I'm waiting for you to get the entire thing.
Yeah, I am too. But all right, so I think we're gonna have to call it agree to disagree on Batman.
So I don't think we're ever gonna agree on Batman. I don't think that, because to me it's not you made a very good point about how all comic book characters are to some degree inconsistent, and the longer you're a comic book character, the more inconsistent you are. But to me, it's like they write him as having qualities that they don't actually portray him as having. They say it, they don't show it. So to me, that's I don't fucking that doesn't count.
Yeah, it all depends on who's writing it, because this person over here will write Batman to show these qualities, but then this writer over here will totally dismiss these qualities to show these other qualities.
And I don't think they ever actually show him to be a bona fide genius in all of the areas.
Well, they actually do in the early ones, and
even then, I've read some early fucking online versions of old school Batman, and I don't think that they show him to be a genius in the way that not in all the areas that they claim him to be a genius in.
Anyways,
so yeah, we're never gonna agree on Batman. He's always gonna think that Batman is a good fucking character, and I'm always gonna think that Batman is a 2-bit character that was thrown together with fucking
he's a humanitarian.
Not really, not to me. And I'm always going to think that he's a 2-bit fucking character that was put together in the Silver Age and never revamped enough to keep up with the times, to keep up with changing knowledge. I think he's just very much poorly written, and I don't understand how he's gotten this popular. But whatever, he fucking sucks. Anyway, however, we could argue about this all night. We've been arguing about it for 5 fucking years. So that's I have a list in front of me because there's a lot of shit that I have to mention at the end, and I will not fucking remember all the things, and then you guys will go look for us on a thing, and we're not gonna be it won't work. So that's all we have for today. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of the social media places. You can basically find us there. Our latest episode is always available on SoundCloud unless it's a video, so this will not be available on SoundCloud. We're also on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, TuneIn, Google Play, Patreon. If you go to Patreon and give us $1, you're going to see this early. So if you didn't give us $1 and you're seeing this, then you're seeing it later because you didn't give us $1. Why didn't you give us $1? Give us $1.
$1 to save a starving dog, or
$1.
Starving,
Hold on.
A starving, Harry or Brandy. Because
$1 will feed this puppy. Look at this puppy. It has 1 brother and 2 sisters, and 2 of them are having surgery, and because one of them is old and one of them has to have a
If you
two
turn
haul
the
remote.
dog sideways, though.
And then
Turn. She's a chubster.
no, don't let people know that our dogs are fat and happy. Jesus, we're trying to make them like they're starving and they need money for kibble. Feed a starving puppy. This puppy isn't starving, but giving me $1 will feed a starving puppy. I have a starving puppy that's coming, so that counts. And I totally fucking lost my place. Yes. Bottom line, give us your money, punk. Or you can go to atella2geeks.com because all of our stuff is there, including a link to our Patreon, so you can give us money. So yeah.
But as always, rock out what you geek out. Good night. Bye.